come with me tonight. I want to tell you about a walk I took a few weeks ago in Shanghai along the water. Most nights I was there. You don't need to do anything. Let your breathing slow down if you'd like. There's no rhythm to keep. A friend of mine lived there for years, and when I told her I was coming, she said something I didn't understand at the time. Don't do the Bund first. Start at the small river, she said. Walk east. Let it get loud slowly. So that's what I did, almost every night. And this is what I found. It was late spring, warm enough that the evenings never quite cooled off, and the whole city seemed to be outside because of it. The small river is called Suzhou Creek, and it runs through the middle of everything, which somehow makes it easy to miss entirely. Come walk the north bank with me, the quieter side. It's narrow here. You could throw a stone across it, though I never tried. And the buildings come right down to the water on both sides, so it feels less like a river and more like a long courtyard that happens to be full of water. Old brick warehouses that have been turned into offices. A few that haven't been turned into anything yet. Balconies with laundry still out at 11 at night. Air conditioners dripping quietly onto the pavement. Feel the air here. It's warm and slightly heavy. The way late spring gets in this city, and it carries 100 small smells at once. River water, someone's late dinner, jasmine from a planter I could never locate, exhaust, wet stone. I stopped trying to sort them out after the first few nights and just let them arrive together. There are stone steps down to the water in a few places, worn smooth, mostly gated off now. A man was sitting on one of them my second night, at the top where you're still allowed to be, doing absolutely nothing that I could identify. Not on his phone, not eating, not waiting for anyone, as far as I could tell, just sitting above the water with his shoes off. I walked past twice, out and back, and he hadn't moved either time. The water down here is dark and slow and doesn't reflect much. Every so often, a small boat goes through. Low, flat, loaded with something under a tarp. Engine putting along at a speed that suggests nobody involved is in any hurry. The wake takes a long time to reach the walls, and then slaps against them politely for a minute or two. And then it's quiet again. Listen for the traffic above us. There's an elevated road not far off, and its sound carries down here as a smooth, continuous hush, more like weather than machinery. I stopped noticing it consciously after a while, but I missed it when the path curved away from it later. Come on. The creek runs east from here, and it gets prettier as it goes. More bridges, lights, more people. But I liked it best right here, at the beginning, when it's still just a working river with laundry hanging over it. There's a small park along this stretch, more of a widening of the path than a real park, with exercise equipment in it. The painted metal kind you find in every city park in this country. An older woman used one of the machines most nights, the one where you sit and swing your legs, at a pace that suggested she was there for the sitting rather than the swinging. She always had a small radio with her, turned down low. The creek has bridges every few hundred meters, and I got into the habit of stopping on each one, mostly because everyone else did too. They're small bridges, most of them. 2 lanes and a footpath, nothing dramatic. But people gather on them anyway, leaning on the railings in 2s and 3s, looking down at water that honestly isn't giving them very much to look at. I think it's just that a bridge is a socially acceptable place to stand still in a city where standing still otherwise looks like you're lost. Come lean on this one with me. The metal railing is warm. It holds the day's heat well past midnight in late spring, and slightly gritty under your palms, in a way I stopped minding after the first week. There's a couple further down the railing most nights, though I'm not sure it was ever the same couple twice. They stand close, not talking much, taking the occasional photo of nothing in particular. One night, a woman was showing a man something on her phone, and he kept nodding without really looking, and she kept holding it up anyway. I've been on both sides of that exact exchange. Listen, a delivery scooter crosses behind us. That particular electric whine they all have, gone in seconds. Then another. They're the real night traffic here, more than cars. Hundreds of them, all evening, all night, carrying somebody's dinner across the city, while the rest of us stand around on bridges doing nothing. The lights start getting more serious as you go east. The buildings along the creek's lower stretch have been lit deliberately. Soft washes of amber and white up the brick facades. Nothing garish. The kind of lighting somebody clearly thought about. The water finally starts giving something back here. Wobbling reflections of all of it, broken up whenever a boat goes through. I liked the 3rd bridge best, though I couldn't tell you why, and I stopped on it every single night. It has a slight hump in the middle, so you can see a good stretch of creek in both directions from the top. Somebody had left a small bunch of flowers tied to the railing there, still fresh the first week, going brown by the time I left. I never found out what it was for. I thought about it more than I expected to. Come on, there's one more bridge ahead, the old iron one. And after that, the creek runs out, and something much bigger begins. Under one of these bridges, on the water, there's a permanently moored boat that somebody clearly lives on. Laundry, a plant in a pot, a folding chair on the deck. A light was on inside most nights, behind a curtain. I never saw anyone come or go from it in 3 weeks of walking past. This is the one everybody knows, even if they don't know they know it. An old steel truss bridge, all riveted girders and lattice work, sitting right where the small creek empties into the big river. Come up onto it with me. It's wider than it looks in photographs, and the footpath along the side is generous enough that nobody has to shuffle past anyone. The steel is painted a gray that's gone slightly warm under a century of repainting. And up close, you can see every rivet, hundreds of them, each one hammered in by somebody a very long time ago. It's lit at night, but gently, outlined rather than floodlit. So the whole structure reads as a dark lattice against the sky, with just enough light to show its shape. Stand at the middle with me and look east, because this is the moment the walk changes. The creek behind us is narrow and dark and domestic. Ahead, suddenly, is the river, properly wide, moving fast, full of ships even at this hour. And on the far side, a wall of towers so bright it takes a moment to process. All of them lit, some of them animated, changing color slowly across their entire height. It's genuinely a lot. I remember laughing out loud the first time, alone on this bridge, at how absurdly much it was. Look back the other way, though, and there's the old bank buildings along the near shore, floodlit, warm gold, none of them taller than about 10 stories, all of them built to look like somewhere else entirely. Greek columns, clock towers, stone facades that belong in London or Chicago. You're standing between 2 centuries here, and both of them are showing off. There's usually a couple getting their photo taken on this bridge, and a photographer who clearly does this professionally, with a light on a stick and endless patience. One night, the bride was in full white on this bridge at 11 at night, laughing every time the wind caught the dress. Her shoes were in a bag her friend was holding. She was wearing sneakers underneath. Come on, down the steps here, and we're on the promenade, and everything gets much louder. Look down at the water from here, where the small river meets the big one. There's a visible line where they join. The creek water is darker and stiller. The river water is browner and moving fast. And for a stretch of maybe 30 meters, they run alongside each other without properly mixing. I stood and watched that line for longer than I'd like to admit. More than one night. So this is the Bund. And I'm going to be honest with you. My first night here, I almost turned around. It's a raised promenade running along the river, maybe a kilometer of it. And at 11 at night in late spring, it is absolutely full of people. Not crowded exactly. It's wide enough to handle it, but full continuously in both directions for as far as you can see. Come walk it with me anyway. It took me 3 or 4 nights to stop resenting the crowd and start actually watching it. And once I did, this became the part of the walk I looked forward to most. Everyone here is doing the same thing, taking a photograph of the towers across the water. Everyone. Thousands of people, all night, every night, photographing the same view that has already been photographed more times than any view in human history. And they are all so completely, unself-consciously happy about it. Watch the poses with me for a minute. There's a whole vocabulary out here. The jump shot, the hand on hip, the one where somebody crouches down low to make their friend look taller than a skyscraper. Couples doing the thing where one holds up a palm and the other is framed sitting in it. Groups of 5 arranging and rearranging themselves for 10 full minutes to get one photo they'll look at twice. I love it, honestly. I came in expecting to feel superior about it, and I left feeling like the whole thing was one of the more purely joyful human activities I've witnessed. Nobody out here is pretending to be cool. Nobody is too sophisticated for the view. Listen. Under the voices, there's the river itself, and it's working. Ships pass constantly, big ones, low in the water, engines making a deep, slow chug that you feel more than hear. Every so often, a horn goes off somewhere out on the water, long and low. And for a second, everything else on the promenade seems slightly less important. The old buildings behind us are lit warm gold, and the towers ahead of us are lit every color there is, and the river between them is black and busy and completely uninterested in either. I usually walked the whole length twice, once through the middle of it all, once along the back edge where it's calmer. Come on, let's take the back edge for a while. There's a man who sells little glowing toys out here, the kind you fling into the air and they spin down with lights on them. He's not the only one, but he was always in roughly the same spot. Kids talk their parents into buying them. The toys go up, and for a second, there are 3 or 4 small green lights spinning down over the crowd, which nobody photographs because everyone's facing the other way. There's also a couple who are arguing, quietly and fiercely, in the middle of all this one night. The kind of argument where both people keep their voices completely level and neither one looks at the other. Whatever the towers were doing behind them was entirely irrelevant. I've never felt more certain that a view can't fix anything. The back edge of the promenade is maybe 15 meters from the front railing, and it might as well be a different city. Come along here with me. There's a row of benches facing away from the river toward the old buildings, and almost nobody sits in them because almost nobody came here to look at that, which means they're always free. Sit with me a minute. From here, you can see the whole crowd at once. A long, dense band of people at the railing, all facing the same direction, all lit slightly blue from the towers across the water, all of them holding phones up at roughly the same angle. From behind, it looks like a congregation. There was an older man on one of these benches most nights, sitting sideways with one arm along the back, watching the crowd rather than the view. I recognized him by the third night. We ended up on adjacent benches once, and he glanced over, and I smiled, and he nodded, and that was the entire interaction. And I thought about him for the rest of the walk. The old buildings behind us are worth actually looking at, and hardly anyone does. 12 of them in a row, more or less, all built within about 30 years of each other, all of them pretending to be somewhere in Europe. Columns, domes, clock towers, stone lions. Somebody 100 years ago wanted very badly for this waterfront to look like it belonged to a different continent. And now it's the most photographed part of a city that's since built the future directly across the water from it. Listen. Even here, 15 meters back, the sound changes. The crowd noise flattens into a general hum, and you start hearing other things through it. Somebody's shoes on stone, a child complaining further off, the clock in one of the towers, which chimes on the hour and which almost nobody on the promenade seems to notice at all. Feel how much cooler it is on this side, out of the crowd, with the buildings blocking whatever heat the day left in the stone. I sat back here most nights, for 10 minutes or so, before walking on. It became the part of the evening where I stopped taking anything in and just let it all happen in front of me. Come on, south from here, it gets quieter fast. The clock in the tower behind us is worth waiting for, if you happen to be near the hour. It's a real mechanical chime, not a recording. And it's louder than you'd expect. 4 notes. Then the hour struck out slowly. The first time it went off, I saw maybe 3 people in the entire crowd react. Everyone else was mid-photograph, 300 or 400 meters south, and the crowd simply ends, the way crowds do. Not gradually, but at a specific point that seems to be marked by nothing at all. Come walk this stretch with me. The promenade continues, just as wide, just as well lit, and there is almost nobody on it. I never understood why. The view is barely different from what everyone was photographing back there. This is where the runners are. They come through in ones and twos, mostly serious about it, mostly with headphones, moving at that steady middle pace that means they're going a long way. One woman passed me most nights, always around the same time, always the same route. She'd appear from the south, run the length of it, and come back the other direction about 11 minutes later. I timed it once, which I recognize is a strange thing to have done. The river is closer here somehow, less separated from you, and you can smell it properly. That particular big river smell of diesel and silt and moving water. Ships still pass constantly. From this stretch, you can watch a single one for a full 10 minutes, coming up the river, passing you, going on toward the sea. Listen for the water against the wall below the railing. It's not gentle here. It's a working river with a real current, and it slaps rather than laps, irregular and a little rough. The sound arriving from all along the wall at once. There's a set of stone steps going down toward the water further along, gated at the bottom, and someone had left a folding stool at the top of them. It was there every night. I never once saw anyone sitting on it. Feel the wind here too. It comes off the water without anything to break it. And in late spring, it's warm and heavy and smells like weather coming from somewhere else. It was the only place on the whole walk where my hair actually got in my face. I walked this stretch slowly every time. Come on, there's a bend up ahead, and after it, the last part. There's a section along here where the old river wall is exposed. Actual stone, much older than the promenade built on top of it. Dark and stained, and clearly having done this job for a very long time. Somebody had painted a depth marking on it decades ago, faded almost to nothing now. A cat lives somewhere along this stretch. I saw it 4 or 5 times, always the same one, always moving with great purpose towards somewhere I never identified. Past the bend, the promenade opens into something more like a park. Grass, benches, low trees, a path that curves away from the railing and back again. Come sit somewhere along here with me. This is where people actually live at night, rather than visit. There's a group that does something like ballroom dancing near the far end, most nights, to music from a speaker on a folding chair. Not many of them, 6 or 8, all well past 50, all completely serious about it. They dance the way people dance when they've been doing it for decades and stopped caring who's watching many years ago. One couple was noticeably better than the rest and clearly knew it. Further along, men fish off the railing. There's a whole row of them at the widest part, rods propped against the metal, buckets between their feet. None of them talking to each other, but all of them clearly there together in some way. I never once saw anyone catch anything. I asked my friend about it later, and she said that isn't really the point, which I'd suspected. A man walks a very small dog along here, most nights, at a pace far too slow for either of them, both of them stopping constantly. Listen. The music from the dancers reaches you in pieces, depending on the wind, and the sound of ships continues underneath everything. And somewhere behind the trees, there's a road with traffic on it that never quite stops. Feel the grass if you step off the path. It's damp by this hour in late spring, and it smells the way cut grass always smells, which for me is instantly 6,000 miles away and 30 years ago. I sat on a bench here every single night, near the dancers, but not too near, and stayed longer than I meant to every single time. Come on, it's late now, and there's one more thing I want you to see before we stop walking. Somebody flies a kite from this park at night, which I didn't know was a thing anyone did. It has small lights along the string, so what you actually see is a line of tiny lights going up into complete darkness, moving slowly, attached to nothing you can make out. I watched it for a long time the first night, without understanding what I was looking at. There's a ferry that crosses the river here, and it runs all night. And almost nobody who visits this city seems to know about it. Come down to the terminal with me. It's not glamorous. A concrete building, turnstiles, fluorescent lighting, a fare of about 2 yuan, which is roughly nothing. There's a small waiting room with plastic seats, and at this hour, there are maybe 15 people in it. A couple of delivery riders with their bikes, some workers going home, one very tired-looking woman with a suitcase. The boat comes, and everyone shuffles on, and nobody looks up. Come stand at the back rail with me, outside. This is the thing I want you to see. The crossing takes about 5 minutes, and for the whole 5 minutes, you are in the middle of the river at night, with the old buildings glowing gold behind you, and the towers blazing every color ahead of you, and the water black and enormous underneath. It is, without exaggeration, one of the best views in the world, and it costs less than a bottle of water. And the 15 people inside are all looking at their phones. I don't say that to criticize them. They take this ferry twice a day. The view is their commute. There's something almost restful about being surrounded by people who are completely unimpressed by something spectacular. It takes the pressure off you to have a reaction to it. Feel the engine through the deck. It's a heavy, patient vibration that comes up through your feet and into your knees. And it changes pitch twice. Once when the boat pulls away, once when it starts slowing for the far side. The wind out here is stronger than anywhere else. Straight down the river, warm and river smelling. I rode this ferry back and forth 4 times one night, just staying on. Nobody said anything about it. I think the crew is used to people doing exactly that. Come on, let's get off on the far side. The terminal on the far side has a waiting room too, identical to the first, and the same fluorescent light, and the same plastic seats. On the wall, there's a printed schedule that hasn't been updated in a while, and a notice about something I couldn't read. A woman sells snacks from a counter that's open at hours that seem to follow no particular logic. The far side is a completely different animal, and it took me a few nights to work out why. Come up from the ferry terminal with me. Everything here is new. 30 years old at the outside, most of it much less. And everything is enormous. The towers you were photographing from across the water are now directly overhead. And up close, they stop being a skyline and become buildings, which is somehow less impressive and more interesting. There's a promenade on this side too, wide and immaculate, with a railing right at the water. Come lean on it and look back at where we just came from. This is the view nobody photographs, and I think it might be better. From here, the old buildings across the river are a low golden ribbon. Small, warm, human-sized, 100 years old, lit up like a row of lanterns. There's no glass, no color-changing LED, nothing moving. Just a line of stone buildings glowing quietly at a distance of about half a kilometer of black water. I liked this direction more every night I did it. Over there, everyone was looking at the future. Over here, hardly anyone was looking at the past. Listen, it's much quieter on this side, fewer people, and the ones who are here are mostly locals out for a walk, plus a few couples sitting on the low wall with their legs hanging over. The towers themselves make no sound at all, which is strange when you're standing under something that big. There's a security guard who patrols this stretch, walking slowly, and a man who sells nothing in particular from a small cart. And after the third night, both of them had clocked me as a regular and stopped registering me at all, which felt like a small promotion. Feel the railing here. Polished metal, cooler than the one on the creek, kept spotless. Come on, let's walk south a little and then find somewhere to stop, because it's very late now. There's a spot along here where the wall is low enough to sit on properly. And one night, a young man was sitting there with a guitar, not playing to anyone, just working through something quietly with his back to the water. He wasn't very good, and he clearly knew it, and he kept going anyway. It's the same everywhere. That particular sound of someone practicing alone in public. I heard it in another city, on another river, and it moved me exactly the same amount. By this point in the evening, the city has changed shifts, and I only noticed it because I was out this late so many nights in a row. Come walk this last stretch with me slowly. The towers start going dark, floor by floor, somewhere after 11. Not all at once, but steadily, so that by midnight, the skyline is noticeably dimmer than it was when we crossed the river. Some of the buildings shut off their decorative lighting entirely and become plain, dark shapes, which I found oddly moving the first time I saw it happen. Like watching something take off its makeup. The people change too. The tourists thin out and then vanish. What's left are shift workers heading home, a few couples with nowhere in particular to be, cleaners starting their night's work, and the delivery riders who never seem to stop, ever, all night. There's a convenience store near the end of this stretch, open all night, and I went in most evenings for water I didn't especially need. It's the same everywhere in the world. That particular fluorescent brightness at 1 in the morning. The hum of the coolers. One employee doing something with a clipboard. A small selection of very tired people buying very small things. Feel how much your legs know about the walk by now. Mine always did, right about here. Listen, the river is still there, past the buildings, and you can still hear it if you stop and try. Ships don't observe the city's shift change. They come up and down all night at exactly the same rate, and their engines make the same low chug at 2 in the morning that they made at 9. The air is cooler now, finally, 3 or 4 hours after it started trying to be. I turned inland here most nights, toward the place I was staying. Come on, I'll show you the room. I passed the same street sweeper most nights around this hour, working a section of pavement with a wide broom, unhurried, headphones in. By the second week, he'd started nodding at me. By the third, he'd stopped, which I took as a sign I had become part of the furniture, and which I was oddly pleased about. The place I stayed was a small apartment in an old building, a few streets back from the water, with a window that didn't quite face the river, but caught a corner of it if you stood in the right place. Come sit with me on the edge of the bed a minute before you lie down. It was an old lane house, the kind with a shared entrance, a narrow staircase, other people's shoes outside other people's doors. Someone practiced piano in the building most evenings, badly and with great commitment. The whole place smelled faintly of cooking oil and cold stone, which sounds unpleasant written down, and was somehow completely fine in reality. My friend told me something on my last night that reframed the whole trip for me. I'd been describing the walk to her, the creek, the crowd, the ferry, and she said, "You know, all of that is very new, right? The promenade, the lighting, the park, the whole thing you walked. 40 years ago, most of that waterfront was docks and warehouses. You couldn't have taken that walk at all. I don't know why that landed as hard as it did. Maybe just because I'd assumed it had always been there. That a city like this had simply always had a place for people to stand and look at itself. Listen from here. The windows open a crack. You can hear the piano if it's early enough. You can hear the street below, which never fully empties. You can hear, very faintly, if the wind is right, a ship's horn from the river. And if you've been walking beside that river every night for 3 weeks, it sounds like something you know. Feel the sheets. Cotton, slightly stiff, line dried by somebody who has done it 1,000 times. Lie back now. The lamp is small and warm, and the window will stay open a little, so the city can keep going without you. There was a shared kitchen at the end of the hallway that I never once used, and somebody else used constantly at hours that didn't make sense to me. 11 at night, 6 in the morning, I'd hear a walk, and then water running, and then nothing. I never met them. I have a completely invented picture of who they were, and I'm fairly confident it's wrong in every detail. So that's the walk. All of it. From a few weeks that turned out to matter more than I expected. We started on the small river, where the laundry hangs over the water, and a man sat on the steps with his shoes off, doing nothing at all. We stopped on every bridge, the way everyone does. We found the flowers tied to the railing and never found out why. We stood on the old iron bridge and watched 2 centuries show off at each other. We walked into the crowd on the promenade, and I told you how I came in ready to feel superior and left feeling something much better than that. We sat on the back benches and watched the watchers. We walked south until the crowd simply stopped and found the runners and the folding stool nobody ever sat on. We found the dancers and the fishermen who weren't fishing, and the man walking a very small dog very slowly. We took the ferry twice and stood at the back rail in the middle of the river, while everyone else looked at their phones. We crossed to the other side and looked back at the old buildings glowing like a row of lanterns, and I told you that I liked that direction better. And now you're here, in a small room in an old building, with a piano somewhere and a window open a crack. The walk will still be there tomorrow. The runner will do her 11-minute loop. The dancers will be back with the speaker on the folding chair. The ferry will cross all night, and the 15 people on it still won't look up. So let it all get quiet now. Let the river get quiet. Let the piano get quiet. Let me get quiet too. If you're still awake, that's all right. There's nowhere you need to be. And if you left me somewhere back on the ferry, or the back benches, or with the dancers, then you did exactly what I wanted you to do. Sleep well. I'll be here next time, somewhere else worth walking slowly through whenever you're ready. Good night.